can all agree that 2024 was the year that sped by without giving us a chance to breathe. I tell my children, I sat down in July, I got up, it was August. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. How are you doing, Bump Lovers? I'm Beverley Nambozen Sengyumva. I love to create, to inspire people through effective communication, and I love discussing issues on Bump Love. Did I say discussing?
Yes, you did.
Discussing issues on Bump Love. It's a wonderful Friday, and I hope you are well. With me are two glamorous ladies, not just on the outside, but inside. They ooze with passion, intelligence, power, something to just take you through the weekend. Manuela, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
You're well?
Yeah, it's been those weeks that ran by.
Yeah, what's going on?
So I'm currently getting ready for the annual personal planning getaway. The annual personal planning getaway is something that we do annually to help women plan their year ahead of time, and so they plan the entire. So even when I see the days go by, for me, I've been in a place where we've been tracking anyway. So I know my quarters, I know my months, I know how long I have, and so because we usually do it in October. We're close. Like for me, the year is coming to an end. In where I see it, it's already coming to an end. So I'm excited. We have 4 sessions actually, 4 weekends, one after another. Those who have been to the annual personal planning getaway, we go back again and plan together physically. Then the next weekend, we go online for those that missed. Then we do the 3rd weekend for those who are coming for the very first time, never attended. And then we do an online version of that same one for them to also be a part of. So it's 4 weekends. So we're in the thick of preparing that,
Manuela does a lot of work for women, in case you didn't know, and APPG is one of them.
Yes.
There is a cutoff mark. I'm 48 years old.
No, there's no cutoff mark.
No, you told me up to 45.
There's no cutoff mark, Beverly. There's no
I returned the side eye I gave you.
No, please. That bombastic side eye. Take it back.
I remember you said we stop at 45. I rolled the eyes. Oh, I return it. I unroll the eyes. But
please unroll. You're welcome to APPG.
No, thank you for the work you're doing for women. And we have another lady, a guest on my far right, who also does exceedingly great work for women. May I have the honor of introducing you?
Okay.
Frances Birungi, Executive Director of the Uganda Community-Based Association for Women and Children Welfare. Thank you. That's an NGO whose mission is to promote human rights and improve welfare of women and children. You all need to start planning something together.
We need to talk more.
And you use community-based initiatives, don't you? We'll learn more about that. Over 2 decades of experience on human rights, gender and development issues, and you serve as the chairperson of the National Land Coalition in Uganda, which coordinates a number of women's land rights initiatives at local, national, and global level.
Wow.
Frances Birungi, how are you today? And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I was just telling someone recently that I just sent my kids back to school.
Oh.
So at first, when they come back, when they're away, you're lonely. You want them to come home. And then they come and you want them to go back. It's like everywhere I'm turning, there's some human being passing, going. And now they've gone back to school and empty nest again. I miss them. Like, where did they go? So that is happening. That has happened this week. I was in that transition of, sending them back to school.
The journey of motherhood.
Yes, the journey of motherhood. So now I'm a bit lonely. I miss them. But otherwise, I'm good. It's also time for me to concentrate on me and and my work and my friends and family. So I'm good. I'm really thankful.
I love that. I love children, babies. I love the idea of community. But like you said, when they're around, they're in every corner. When they're away, there's a silence. What do I want? I want a bit of both.
I know.
I want a bit of both. It's interesting.
I know. And I think that when you're aware of it, then it's important that you make yourself more intentional about it.
When the seasons come.
When the seasons come. Because you can't also live life constantly in that place where when they're around, you're like, can you go? Then when they go, you're like, I miss you, come back.
Exactly.
You can't keep doing that. And so you have to be in a place where you say, they're coming home. I know how lonely it gets when they are not here. what are the things that irk me about them being here? I end up being late. I end up doing this. I end up, the place is dirty. The place is noisy. The place, okay, time to embrace
and harness the best of it.
Let me embrace it. So when they come in, you embrace it 100%. And then when they go, you say, I'm about to miss them. But when I do, that's when I'll get all those assignments of work, write all my proposals, write till late, use the time well. So for me, I think that's a place where I'm at. I'm always telling myself, Manuela, get ready. They're going to come. And when they come, it's going to be messy, it's going to be noisy. Embrace it. Because a few weeks from then,
they won't be around.
They won't be around,
and
then
then
they'll be lonely.
empty,
I spent an hour undoing my second born's hair. Her hair is luscious and long. No phone, no movie. We just chatted while I was undoing her hair. It was a great time spent. I know what you mean. I thought, I have so much to do. No. This is important. I ignored phone calls. It was so refreshing and rewarding. Undoing her hair. Usually I'll have something. I'm texting. I refuse to do that. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I love that. Because a time will come when she's not there.
When she's not there and you miss her and you can text and do other things.
And then you find that you're less guilty actually when that happens. Because you're like, no, I took time with her. I spent time with her. Now I can spend time writing proposals or whatever you need to do.
And something else happened. Maybe it's the age I'm at or the ages of people a bit younger than me. A friend of ours had a newborn baby. We went to visit them in hospital and I gushed a boy. Her firstborn, actually, a boy. She's been wanting a child for a long time. How cute. Now, the true story, my friend took me aside and said, Beverly, you're always saying things like, how cute. Is that boy really cute? The newborn, she actually said this and said, Beverly, you're always gushing and praising people. But Beverly, really, you can also see for yourself. Is that boy really cute? Now, I don't want to say I lied. It was the most appropriate thing to
say at the time,
Was I lying? Have you been in a position where you gushed over a newborn baby's cuteness when inside you knew it was just the appropriate thing to say, but your eyes were saying something else?
Yes.
I've almost become culprit to it. So what I decided to do is to get words before I enter the room.
What am I going to say when I get
in case I find that the kid is not cute? What should I say? Appropriate things like, thank God you gave birth. Welcome to the world, little Manzi. We've been waiting for you. Oh, we bless you. Oh, thank God you came. How was you have to have words before. Most times, the only reasons you end up gushing and saying the wrong things because you don't prepare. So prepare before because you might find an ugly one. And if you find a cute one, you're like, oh my God, look at you. And let me tell you can say very offensive things. I remember the first time I gave birth to my son. Someone came in. I said, is this one new or 2 months? Because it was really big.
But I think that's a compliment because 2 months in they filled out.
Yeah, they filled out, but what do you mean? This one I've just pushed this. So you can end up offending someone.
Firstborn, so
my firstborn, the right words. You know? And I'm like, but he's beautiful. Why aren't you saying he's cute?
Nice.
Why aren't you saying something? So why are you saying, but this one looks like as though a Cadia.
Not in a nice way.
Not in a nice way. Like this one looks like a 2-month-old. Why? Because you didn't come prepared. What if the child is ugly? What if the nose is so big? What if the eyes are prepare yourself. And so me, one of the things that I told myself is I won't comment about a child.
Comment about
the
mother,
the father. I congratulate them. I bless the baby. I do everything other than talking about the child.
Sometimes the skin hasn't healed.
I mean, babies are cute, but when they're just being born, you really can't say they're cute.
Some look like
precious. They're precious.
They're precious.
Let's leave it at
because they evolve. But really, when they are newborns, there's too much going on. The skin is still trying to, But some babies are born and they're actually really
some
cute.
Are born cute,
But not all the babies. But
So
I think we
have
just
you also
need to
lied
be
in a hospital room?
No, I think I haven't lied. I always tell myself, this is not how this child is going to look like 2 days, 3 days. Because I've had babies, I know that this is... So even if I get there, I honestly don't even remember how those kids look like when I get in there. I just see a human being has been, you know. So I was like, oh, it's so cute, it's so nice.
It's so cute.
But it's not really.
You speak in faith.
It's not about physical look.
It's not physical look. It's
the
just
presence
this
of this child was
exactly,
born.
exactly.
Yeah, the moment.
And then I tend to focus more on the parents.
Oh, good.
Especially the mother.
Yes.
Because she has just gone through something very traumatic and difficult. And, you know, not just bringing this child, but the 9 months she's gone through, you know, stuff. Yeah. So I really focus more on the mother, not so much on the father. Maybe I can say congratulations, but I really focus so much on the mother. The baby we shall see, you know, welcome to the world, but mother, you've made it. This is great.
Yeah.
So
someone told me
really
that's why they say kulika baby. Because you've been through a potential life and death situation.
Right. I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Tell me the story when you visit your friend who gives birth next. I want to know.
What
went on in that situation? No, thank you for sharing.
No, let me tell you. We say very stupid things. So there was one recently that I went to, and his sister was much lighter. The one who was born before was much lighter than him. And so I went in with a relative, and I go like, this one is blacker than the other one. So you see, you find that if you don't come prepared, you'll say very inappropriate things.
I think what you said is very, you need to think, you need to prepare so that, because sometimes we say these things, we don't want to harm, but it's what is coming out. Your mind is working and you're saying what your mind is really
or even
really
commenting
processing.
on the baby, the mother's stomach. I've just had a baby. What?
Yeah, so I think it's important to really think, I'm getting in there, what is appropriate to say? How do I make this person feel good and happy, and how do I be positive in that space?
And don't take photos of the baby without permission.
Without
permission. Please don't.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry. Why are you taking pictures of the baby?
Thank you.
Exactly.
Let's even you leave permission, because it's also hard for someone to say, hi, can I take pictures of your baby? And then they say no. It's kind of like a difficult place you're putting the mom in.
Even yourself.
Can you just not? And people, please, meanwhile, they will take pictures of themselves with the baby. You're like,
even the mother's not ready. You've been breastfeeding. You're not ready for that.
But the mothers of these days,
They are
lashes up to Hong Kong and back. They are looking.
That was not me at all. Recently, and it's just so tragic, I don't know how to say it, but in Kenya there have been a recent string of protests against femicide, which I learned recently is the killing of women.
Right.
Rebecca Cheptegei, I follow the Olympics. I do. I follow the Olympics. I've always loved people who have particular physical strength and the capacity to raise the flags of their countries using that prowess. Rebecca Cheptegei, an Olympic medalist, someone whom we honor because of what she did for our country, succumbed to burn injuries. 80% of her body was burned. And that's the third female athlete to succumb to injuries, brutal injuries, attacks by their partners. Now, from what I gather, there may have been a land dispute. She and her ex-partner built a house together. She, of course, gave a larger proportion given the money that she earns from the Olympics. And where to begin? You know what I mean? Like, why? First of all, she has this honor that she's bestowed upon herself and the country, and for women athletes. She's built a home together with an ex-partner. I see potentially a future life together that could be great. They didn't even have children. You're a property rights expert. Was it the land dispute? Was it the male ego? What could have brought this about? What are your thoughts on this? First of all, even your thoughts as a woman before even going to a human rights activist.
I mean, Rebecca's story is just one of those cases that you see and you just lost. You just don't know how to deal or how to explain or how, because I've had this conversation, you know, with others, and the question is why, how? We don't seem to have an appropriate answer to explain this, because it's just terrible. Like it's not, doesn't make sense whatsoever. And Rebecca's story is just one of those many stories. Rebecca's story has come out because she's famous. She's an athlete and everything. But you have no idea how many women, how many others are going through this. You know, it may be burning them, beating them up, physical violence, verbal violence, and so on and so forth. But what we need to understand is that I think these things are really anchored in the systems within which we operate. I believe that, yes, the dispute could have been learned, and that is what really could have sparked, this violence that happened. But I know for sure that there must have been tension between the two for quite some time already.
Yes.
I don't think that they just woke up one day and there was this land dispute and the guy decided, let me power you. I think it's something that has built over time. And usually this tension that usually happens between men and women is really many times anchored in the systems within which men and women are brought up, which me, you, our husbands, our children are brought up.
Especially sub-Saharan Africa?
Especially sub-Saharan Africa, but also other parts of the world, especially systems that are patriarchal in nature. Because in such systems, we see that in a patriarchal society, power is many times allocated to the male side, to the man's side. So that has something to do with ego, to the man, with the ego that you mentioned about, because society, our cultures, our norms provide this opportunity for men to have this power, to have control, to have, And so when anything happens that threatens that power, that threatens that strength that society provides to the men, then there's always friction, there's always conflict. So I believe even before the land issue came, he must have been an abusive partner. Because probably this woman...
yes, you don't just burn someone.
You don't just burn someone, because I believe this woman was weird to him. Because she's breaking all barriers. Yes. This is not what society teaches us about women. Women are supposed to be quiet somewhere, private somewhere, not standing out, not, but this was a famous woman. Probably she brought a lot of money to purchase this. There was too much power that this woman was. And this woman, I'm not sure he was okay with that as a person, because probably that's not what he has been told by society, that a woman, a normal woman, should be that way. So I think there has been tension that has been, happening between them, and then the land issue, and land is power. Land is power. We know that when you have land as a person, either a woman or a man, it's everything. It's identity. It's self-esteem, it's dignity. Land is it's a means for life. It's a means for production, livelihood, status symbol. Land is a key resource. And because of that, society sees a lot of value in land, and therefore thinks that a certain section of society has the ability to take care of this resource, which is land. And another section of society doesn't have the ability or the capacity to take care of this resource, because it's critical, it's life, it's everything. So we see that in many societies, like in patriarchal societies like Uganda, Kenya, and others, we see that land as a resource, as a key resource on which many of us depend for livelihood, for everything, it is usually under the custody of men. It is usually passed on through the male lineage in terms of land governance, managing the land. True. It is from father to son.
It's true.
Yes. So that in itself provides more power to men, because they have this responsibility that has been bestowed to them by society to take care of this resource. Now, in this Rebecca case, this was a woman who has come. She's doing everything that society does not understand. She's contributing money, she's contributing probably a higher percentage to the land, she's making decisions on land, she's probably, she's a co-owner. All those things are not things that we, society accepts. So I think all these things really bruised the partner's ego. He felt his power was being threatened. His power was being, this was not right. So for him, in his mind, he was making it right. He was making it right by getting rid of this woman that is alien, that is not doing things the way society should be run. So I really think this issue is a very complicated issue, because it had land at the center, and land is everything for them. Land, housing, like without that, you're almost nothing. And the society that we live in, it was very difficult for them to agree on how to live together and coexist and manage this resource together and develop together as a couple.
And they would have developed.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, they would have
with
developed.
him.
Not with him,
Not
though.
with him. That's why he knew.
With the right
That's why
partner.
if they've left me now and she gets another partner,
Yes.
things are going to
because
be...
they had already separated.
They're already
Yes.
separated.
Yeah.
When I got the news, so first of all, I thought it was Chemtai.
Oh.
So I was like, oh my God, after a silver medal.
I know.
You know?
Yes.
Not that. And then I thought, is she Cheptegei's wife? As in, I was so
yes,
confused.
Trying to figure that out.
That Chep names are so, they really get confusing. And so what I did was I took the time to read about her. And it was so painful. It was so painful because I truly believe that I guess these things happen out there, especially in the developed world, but I feel like they've made certain strides. So you now understand why they have prenups.
Yes.
That
All right.
before anything happens, if you
Disputes,
become
yes.
mighty and powerful as a woman, this is how things will be managed. I now finally understand why someone would say, I'm not entering this relationship unless we have a prenup. The second thing that I thought about was, I think it's important we tell our daughters how powerful they are, so that when they're choosing a partner or when they're accepting the love of someone, they accept kind of like a fellow high-value person, a man who can respect them, who can honor them. I recently met a lady who earns way more than her husband does, built the house they live on, bought the land, bought the cars, bought everything. And we needed to meet, and she was just sharing with me her story. And the whole time that she came, when I saw her, I could almost feel in my spirit that was the direction we're going to go through. My husband is having a hard time with my...
Oh, yes.
So we had a whole conversation on business. We finished the conversation on business. We talked about children. We talked about everything. Yes. But the issue of the husband was not coming. So I'm like, let me wait.
Yeah.
When we're gaming the meeting, I'm like, dear, how's your husband? Perfect.
Right.
Now, it's very rare did you find women who lie when they're having a hard time in their marriage, especially when you've had a long conversation and you've kind of you've opened up yourself vulnerably on other areas. So I said, really? I probe. I'm like, really? She's like, actually, Manuela, when I hear women share about their men who can't manage their power, I go home every night. I say to my husband, thank you. Oh, because my husband, she's like, I don't know how his mother raised him, but he raised him to the point that I've never said I bought this house. I've never said I bought. Even land, I'm the one who started to feel guilty when I would need land to be put on land title, my name to be put on a title, and he would go put the land title, come in, give the title, eat his food, go to bed. I said, are you sure there's nothing brewing under? She's like, we've been married 15 years.
Oh, lovely.
Our cases have we've quarreled about everything other than my position at work, buying land. I started to feel guilty, and then I changed the way I did the land titles, because I was like, he's the one I'm asking to help me pick up the title, and it's in my name. She's like, I'm the one who started to feel like, if I need him to be there for the children, he'll be there 100%. And it's not that he doesn't work. He has a job. He goes and works. But at no point does he... And she said she still goes home and cooks food.
Yes, of course,
and provides. She respects him and honors him as a husband. She said that thing has never been an issue.
That's good.
In our home.
So she was also raised right.
She was also raised right. No, exactly.
You rode his ego just because of her.
Exactly.
Yes.
Even if they're having a fight, she's cognizant of the fight. The fight is based on this.
Something
It
else.
has nothing to do with whether I'm the one working. It's not an abuse of power. It's not. No, it's we fight the issue, not what we think could have come with the issue. So she said, Manuela, me that thing. I even see you on Bump Love, you are talking, men, what? And he said, those episodes, I just keep quiet.
Yes.
I'm just like, Nange,
Yes.
God, thank you,
Right.
because me,
That's
the
a
one
good
you
one.
gave me,
So we're both
that is
raised
not
right.
an issue
Yes.
that we have. So I truly believe that when we raise women in a certain way, they will choose someone
Yes.
with those exactly
That's
who is
excellent.
able to accept and see. I mean, you look at now the husband of Kamala Harris. Well, what should he do? Like, or partner, let me say partner.
He was second man.
Second, you get it?
I never heard of the term second gentleman.
Yeah, you understand what I mean? Or where you have a very powerful woman, yeah? Then what do you do? What do you do when your wife is your wife is Beverly Namboso? What do you do with yourself?
I'll tell you what happened. Someone told me, Beverly, you'll never find a time in your marriage when you're sitting and you start looking at each other's certificates and comparing.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know where the certificates are? Actually, the only time I get them down is to remove the dust.
Right.
That's how unimportant they are in the
Right.
growth of our marriage.
Right.
In other
in the
words,
grand scheme of things.
yes, so the things that are important to you before you get married, you adjust, isn't it? So they're still important, but you adjust because they're not necessary at that time.
that
They were
time,
necessary when you're building your career at a certain
Right.
point,
Yeah.
and maybe when you're applying for something. But over dinner,
Right.
when you're going to work, when you are discussing
Who's
children's
holding
names,
certificates on
when
there?
you're discussing
Saying that,
children's
by the
names,
way, as
because I have a certificate this, I will
am
choose the
saying
name.
this.
No.
Yeah.
Decide where you go on holiday.
Right.
No. And that's what's important.
Yeah.
When I heard the case, my first thought and impulse was, how incredibly tragic. That was it. I haven't gotten over that. It's the tragedy of it all. It's just the tragedy. Senseless. How senseless. And for me, I thought the potential has been cut short. The potential for her, for other women and girls.
Right.
The potential for her even finding a man who would love her and cherish her.
Right.
All of that was lost. That
Gone.
was my reaction to it. What? It's the senseless tragedy.
Yeah. Us as women, many times we keep certain things secret, and that's why this entire case, no one really knows
What's
what the real details are, because by now you would have expected that.
Someone to
Okay,
come out and
now
say
this is what really happened. No, that from the time she got burnt up to the time she passed away, nothing was coming out except a land dispute. And you're like, now when will we find out? Do you know the only person now who will probably tell us what the truth is? The one who's 30% burnt, the ex-husband, the ex-boyfriend, the one who burnt. You understand what I mean? So I think it's important that there's record of certain things. You report, you have a confidant, somebody that you share certain things with, or even hopefully like a journal where you write and say, well, this day was hard because this happened, and then you keep it somewhere, or record something. There has to be some form of tracking, especially where you have somebody who's violating you domestically. I also felt like I needed to say, women, can we stop making marital decisions with men who have not yet taken the vow? You know what I mean? Yes, you're cohabiting. Yes, you're all those things. But there's so much spiritual protection that comes from a vow that has been made before God and before man, and said, this is the man that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. I know people don't want to get married. People don't want to. People are just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah, legally
But there's so much protection that comes with an outward and visible declaration with witnesses that we are together, not as boyfriend, not as girlfriend, not as, because now here, where do we begin? Now you look like, was it a partnership? Because now you're not married. Like, how exactly?
What was the ownership like?
What was the ownership like? And I guess, yes, we don't have all the details, but I thought when I saw this case, I said, no, women, we're going to hold ourselves with more value than many men want to give us. They make you have their children. They make you cook their food, and they've not done their part to make it public to everyone that you are spoken for. And it's time for us to say, no, I'm sorry. If we don't have a legal agreement that says that we are together. I'm not buying land together with you.
Yeah. And sometimes there are circumstances where probably a legal union could be delayed or could not be possible. But I think what is very important is to document.
Yeah.
Document.
Yeah,
Yes,
documentation.
because if you sign and
if
say,
you sign and you
what
say
happened.
this is what happened, you know, we are buying
That's
this
true.
together, because when you look at ownership of land and property, you can do it individually if you have the capacity to, but it's also okay to do it in association with others, with your friend, with your sister. So in this state, this is
They
your
were
friend.
friends.
So you can still do it with a friend. Me, the three of us can say, hey, look here, ladies.
Let's buy land.
Can't each one of us bring like a 2020
That's
card, we
true.
buy this person here. Nothing stops us.
Right.
But documenting. Because like you said, why is it that up to now we don't seem to have the finer details of what really happened in this situation?
No friend has said she reported
She
to
reported,
me.
this is
She
how
used
much
to
she
come
contributed.
crying.
This, you know, we don't have details. So I think documentation is very critical. How much have you contributed?
Yeah.
Who are the contributors? What are the shares that you have on this property? So documenting and clearly having that somewhere where, you know, we can have backup to be able to, you know, have these conversations, to be able to provide support is very critical.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, yes, there is, interestingly, I'm hearing so much recently of people saying, I don't want to get married. Marriage is not a thing.
What is
Yeah.
their reason? Is it,
I think some of these things, I mean, I think before, when we were growing up, I don't know, I'm thinking about my age group.
I don't know. Gen X.
38. I'm
Yes.
38. So we don't know. Between 38 and 48, where do you fall?
So by that time, probably information was not out there as much.
Oh.
Yes.
In such cases,
Right.
you know, there's social media. Within an instant, we knew this woman had been burnt. Within an instant, we knew she's dead. Like, information is flowing. And young people are being fed with this
All this
information every single day, you know. Initially, we were limited to probably
Gossip.
gossip
Or
or
newspapers.
or newspapers or
Newspapers.
issues that happened within our small circles.
true.
But now we are able to know what is happening everywhere. And the intimate violence, intimate partner violence is too much. There's a lot that is happening. Marriages are, you know, people are fighting, there's too much tension. And that is coming from, you know, a number of things. The economy is changing.
Yes.
You know, things are difficult. Children have to go to school. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of, it's just too much. So young people who are not yet married are seeing all this stuff.
And they're like,
Saying, but really, you mean I work, I run, I don't know how many,
Yes.
and then I
Kilometers.
build my house, and some human being is going to ban me for this? You know, when
Oh,
they see
when
all
they see
these
that,
things, they're saying, I think I'm better off by myself. I think I can do my stuff. I will have friends.
Yes.
I will date, I will do all, but I'm not making anything
commitment.
legal. I will not have this one contributed. I will do my stuff within my capacity. So I think the fact that information is out there, people are saying it's scary. It's really scary for people, and it's understandable that increasingly people are choosing to say marriage is not something. But marriage is beautiful, really.
It is,
A
of
good
course
marriage
it
is
is.
beautiful.
A good
A
marriage.
good marriage is beautiful, and it takes work, it takes effort, it takes, you know, if we keep on being, you know, allowing all this negativity to really determine the decisions that we make, I think it's also a challenge. But again, it's a choice.
Yeah.
Marriage is not for everyone.
Right.
It's really a choice for people to make. But things like land, things like property, things that make us have a better life are important. That one
Right.
it's not even a
of
choice.
course, yes.
Yeah.
That one is a must. Like,
Yes.
we must do everything possible to make sure that we have a good life.
Yes.
We have property, we
Yes,
have land,
yes.
we have things, we can take our children to the
Grow,
schools, we want to
yes.
grow, emerge. All of us, men, women, people with disability, in our differences, this is a no choice. You can choose to marry or not to,
Yeah.
but you must do it smart.
Yeah.
You know, do you want to do it by yourself? Do you want to do it with others? How do you secure yourself when you do it with others? I think it's very important.
And that's a conversation we are going to go right into right now. You know, how to secure yourself. Recently, there has been a revision of the land bill, especially in light of relationships between people. And I don't think I've ever seen a post as forwarded as that post.
Yeah.
My God.
Yes.
Tell us a bit more, because I know there are some people that might be watching who are here, which bill? And you know, whenever it comes to the law, as women, we coil in. So can you tell us the history behind that revision of the bill, or where it is at, what was entailed in it, where is it at now, and what do we have to, I know those are like 4 questions. Right. And what does that mean for me who is seated here at watching Bump Love?
I think even before we get into the bill and the laws and everything, I think we just need to first and foremost unpack the issue to do with land and property. Because that bill that you're alluding to was mainly around property issues. And how property can be managed within family context and so forth. A case like Rebecca's, how would you manage such cases and so forth? So we first and foremost have to understand that concept of land and property and maybe land and property rights, if I should say. And first, I think what we need to understand is what is very critical among those words is the right aspect, which is basically human rights. And what these are really entitlements that someone has by virtue of being human. So basically, the right that everyone must enjoy, regardless of our differences, of our background, of our gender, of our level of education.
Is this Uganda? You're talking about Uganda specifically,
or
world
everyone? Over. Human rights are human rights. They are universal. I'm explaining the rights. Human rights. So these are rights that we all must enjoy. They are natural. They are inborn. No one gives them to us. No one takes them to us. Once you are born, the baby we were talking about in the beginning, that cute one, that the ugly of that baby.
I said use your words. Go outside that door before you enter that door.
And I stand in a naughty corner.
So that baby
has
certain rights by virtue of being a human being, their existence. That no one, when you cannot say the mother has given them these rights, the government has given her these rights. No. A human being, not an animal, not a building, but a human being has those rights. And they vary. They can be economic rights, social rights. I don't want to get into those details. And so those are entitlements that we have by virtue of being human beings. But we're not human beings. We are different. We have men, we have women, so gender differences. We have age, children, older people, younger people. We have different races. We have white people. We have, we have different differences, but we are all human beings and have equal rights, entitlements. So that is the right aspect. And then property is also another thing that we need to understand. Like, what is property? Now, property is a thing that someone can own or possess. It's something that you possess, you own. It's your thing.
How does it become yours? Is it... Or you purchase it or someone gives it to you?
Yes, it is yours. And before I even get to how it becomes yours, we should look at property in two ways. There is land that is we call it real property, or we call it immovable property. So it's property that you cannot move from one place to another, but it can be owned and possessed by either an individual or collectively. Like land, like houses, like forests, like wetlands. You won't move them, but it's property that someone can own individually or in association with others. Then we have that property that is personal property, movable. It's important. It's property. You can own it, you can possess it, but it's you can move it from one place to another. A car, money, bank account, a phone, jewelry, animals, things like that. And these are all important and they are property. Now, when we talk about property rights, bringing those two together, it is the right to own property. It is the right, the natural right that you're born with, the inborn right, the fundamental human right that you have by virtue of being human, to own, to possess property, either movable, to have something
that's
regardless of how you came into this world. Whether that cute baby was a boy, whether that cute baby was a girl, whether that cute baby was brown or black, whether it was a white or black, for as long as that human being is, that human being has a right.
And that's a universal right.
To own something.
So even that cloth, which no wonder, that makes sense, because then immediately you put a dress on that child. You don't say, go and bring mommy's dress to put on Caesar. You say, bring Caesar's dress, because she owns. Even if she didn't
comes to that question
of
how do you possess, how do you own? There are different ways in which we can own, and I'm going to bring that specifically to land as a key resource, because we can talk about different property, but let me talk about land as a key resource. When you're looking at property, the hierarchy of property, land is up there because it's really everything. Land in Sub-Saharan Africa and other places is mainly acquired in 3 ways. You either inherit it, or you purchase it, or it's gifted to you.
All right.
And this can apply probably to other property.
Is not allowed.
I was about to mention.
Compulsory. You don't acquire by force. You do not steal. There are those 3 ways in which you can get that property. Whether you're a man or a woman, or those are the ways in which you can acquire property, including land. Right? Okay. So you're either
you inherit it,
you buy
purchase it, it's gifted to you.
Yes.
Some people have all 3.
Yes. Right. Now, so whatever it is, those are the avenues within which you can be able to get something. Now, like that baby, we are gifting them clothes, we are gifting them cars, we are gifting. Then when it's land, parents are, passing on land to us. They are passing on houses to us. So it's either gift or it's an inheritance moving on from one. So that is how land is and property is acquired.
Or you are a nice girlfriend and they give you a mall. Nice boyfriend. And they give it to your house. Okay.
Yes.
I think Beverly looking at me like
what are you doing?
We can also gift men. Beverly.
Exactly.
Or you're a nice boyfriend and your girlfriend gifts, your wife gifts you a yacht.
Exactly. Yeah. So the gifting, the inheritance can be either side. It's not only limited to men giving and all that. Yeah. And then the rights aspect, when you look at the rights now to own and possess these things that you've acquired, either through inheritance and so forth, to enjoy those rights, it's a bundle of rights. Now, it's going to bring me to the bill that you're talking about. It's a bundle of rights.
Yes.
Meaning that when you have this land or you have this vehicle, for you to say, this is mine, I possess it, I have rights, I am enjoying the full rights, there are 3 things you must be able to do on that.
Okay.
1, the access rights.
Yes.
Use it.
Okay.
You can use it. If it's land, you can till it, you can build a house, you can live on it. If it's a car, you can drive it, you can use it. So that is access. You can enter it, you can use it, and so forth. The other right that you have to enjoy, and as I'm saying this, women have to think about the property they have.
You're like,
think about the things you have and start thinking about, am I actually enjoying my rights?
If I want to plant,
am I enjoying my full rights? Am I going to wake up and just put ginnats? Or are they telling me, this season, no, togena kuteka mbijanjalo. You're going to put ginnats.
I've understood what you mean.
So as I'm talking about this, you need to think about, because usually what we see is that many times women, we get so comfortable with certain rights, yet it's not the full bundle. But society blinds women so much that because I'm in this man's home, I am living here, I am planting beans, I am eating.
Children are happy, well fed. Yes.
What are these women talking about? Why are they making noise on Bump Love? We are okay, we are living. No one is chasing us away from this land or taking the car away from me. But that is a limited right.
Yes.
There is another layer of right, which is ownership. Now, ownership is now you're using, you're there. But do you own? Do you possess?
Control.
Is it yours?
So that means control? No. Ownership?
No. Yes. Own. It's like, is it written?
Is there something that in case of anything, you will never lose that thing? Someone is not going to come one day and tell you,
it's not yours, and you took out.
So should an ownership come before enjoying it?
Before access?
Accessing?
That would make sense.
Or is it
whatever order you want to use?
Yes.
Bottom line, you must enjoy the bundle of rights.
Yes. Okay.
Not only one right. Because there are some people who may actually own, they possess it,
but
it is in their names, but they have no access. You can't use that land. You've seen people who have land and people are squatters. So you're not enjoying your full bundle of rights.
Legally, it's yours.
It's yours,
but
then you're not able to access it and use it. You go there, pangas are coming out. Yeah?
Or you don't own, but you have access.
Yes.
You're a squatter.
Yes.
You're a squatter.
Exactly. So there are so many people, and majority of women have access rights. We really enjoy access rights. We live there, we garden, we eat, and we feel we are comfortable.
Take photos.
Until you realize, and then the other rights, someone tells you, I've got your friend, madam, you get out. Yes.
And then you start saying, after I
did everything, after I did everything I did,
my money. Kumbe, you had access,
but you
did not have ownership.
But shouldn't there be a parameter that enables those who have had access for such time to become legal owners?
I think that was what was in the bill.
Okay.
That was in the bill.
Exactly.
You're suddenly
the women that have suffered. Yes. And the men as well. The men who have also suffered the same.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, Beverley, good on you.
Exactly. And then finally, the control, which is also that you can make decisions on this land. That on this land, you're a kind of person who can say that on this land, I want rentals. Oh. It's not Mr. who comes and says, you're on this land, you live and there, but from now on, I'm breaking this house, I'm going to put rentals, and you have no say. And they tell you, now move, I'm going to get for Yekazigo, because here I'm going to put rentals, I need money. Like, are you in that position where you make decisions? If it's planting, you're deciding that beans are the in thing, not coffee. But the man is saying, for me, I want coffee. But you can sit and say, no, beans, kataleje kali, and you plant beans. So it is a whole layer. And
yes. I need to ask about control, because sometimes control can be misconstrued.
Right.
Yeah. If I'm in a marital relationship and we've purchased this land, and yes, I have access, and yes, which is one question I really wanted to ask. On land titles, can you have more than one name? Because there was a fight somewhere, and I want you to be the one on Twitter about land can only be in one person's name. So kindly correct that. So you own the land, and then when it comes to control, you're in a conversation. I think there should be beans. No, he says, no, let's have coffee. Then you say, no, let's have beans. And he says, no, let's have coffee. No, beans, coffee beans, coffee beans, coffee beans, coffee beans. Then let's say we don't have half-half. We don't have the money to do half-half. Then all of a sudden you get annoyed because coffee was done. Like, my rights were not. My rights were abused.
Violated.
And yet, had it happened vice versa, where you had planted beans, he would also go and say, my rights were also violated. So kindly explain the control facet of things, because I also don't want men to call us on Bampla and say, what happened? She only saw her rights. She didn't hear that human rights, all of us, men and women, because she watched the show.
It's very important for us to think about, okay, I have rights, but do I have the band of rights? Am I only enjoying limited rights? Now, in that case that you talked about, there is what we call joint decision making.
Okay.
It is not Beverley coming and saying, Sebo, me, I am saying as a woman, this is what is going to happen. But is there opportunity for us to discuss, for Beverley to discuss with her husband and say, why don't we do things? Maybe let's do this, until they agree.
Yes.
It will be probably coffee, it will be probably whatever it is, but is there a platform for you to be called on that table to discuss? Or is Mr. going to come and just cut away all your maize because he's seeing that neighbors are planting coffee and put coffee, and you can't say anything? So you understand, there's a lot of joint things. And then the title, back to the title. Our laws are very clear. Property can be owned either individually or in association with others.
Yes.
The title provides for you to be able to provide others, because the law can't be saying something else, and the instrument to implement the law is something different. You will online jointly, you put both names, they are there. For customary land, now there's a lot of registration happening on customary land. There is provision to add your family members, children, and so forth, and relatives. So that's not true, the title does not allow.
Exactly. Usually where the issue is at the point of the purchase agreement. So you find that most times lawyers put land, purchasing land, then the husband puts his name, witness then you are
the witness.
So what you go and do, you go and add additional lines also
under their
purchase.
owner.
Add yourself
purchase
under purchase and say, hey, we need a witness.
Yes. Exactly.
Because what happens is when you give them that land, when you give them the agreement like that, they'll put his name as the purchaser.
Because that's what it's being.
Because that's what is on the agreement. So usually, and I wanted to say that is that the problem is at that signing of the agreement. Most women are happy to sign as the witness.
And I don't think they are happy to do that. I think they just don't know.
Don't know. Okay.
Because for them, they
that
as long
makes
as
sense.
I don't think there's any woman who doesn't want to enjoy these rights.
Right.
When the opportunity is there. Apart from if someone has said, "Kat madam, olichi, witness, kuno, this is my land."
Yeah.
It's painful, but I don't think there's any woman who would say that, mister, me, I'm just a woman. Let me just be a witness.
That makes sense.
So we need knowledge.
We do need knowledge, and that's why I thought it was important that we had this conversation. So when that agreement comes, don't be a witness.
Yes.
Say a witness.
Exactly.
You look around also. As they are looking at you, you extend and put, when he says Brian Mulondo and Manuela Patriarchal.
So, you know, the challenge that we have now is that many women don't know that they have this right.
That's why we're doing this show.
Many women don't know that. First and foremost, they just don't. I don't know that they know that they are human beings. Because it starts from there.
It starts from understanding with human rights.
Who am I? I'm a human being. So as a human being, what am I entitled to? As a human being, not as a woman, not as a man, as a human being. What is that I'm entitled to? It starts from that self-awareness.
Yes.
I'm a human being, I have entitlements, I have rights. The challenge we are facing now is many women either do not know that they have that right, they have human rights, one of the rights being land and property rights, where they're supposed to enjoy the whole bundle of rights, or some know, but they are being denied. They are being denied the ability. Now that is the case of probably Rebecca.
Yes.
She probably knew her right and she was trying to assert her right and say, look here, I bought, I contributed. This is our land. Let us sell. I don't know what she probably was suggesting. Let us sell, and each one takes a portion. And the man is saying, no, she knew and she was claiming and asserting her right. But there was a barrier. There is someone who is stopping her. So many women actually may know.
Yes.
They actually know they are not supposed to sign as witnesses, but they are being intimidated. They are being told no. So there is a barrier that is failing them to be able to enjoy the whole bundle of rights. And where does this come from?
Well, I'm 48 years old, and my knowledge of women's rights and human rights came from watching other people.
Right.
My grandmother, my mother, people I worked with, because the knowledge on paper was not accessible, or if it was, it wasn't important at the time. I think the first time I heard of Universal Declaration of Human Rights was when I studied history in my A-level. I think that's when I first came across it, or women's rights or human rights. And I thought, that space for the United Nations, oh my goodness. Or I thought every time it came up because there was a problem.
Yeah.
Every time it came up, I said, oh my goodness, what have they done to women again? Not as important information to grow up knowing to avoid the disputes. So whenever I heard women's rights, I thought, oh no, there's been another problem. Which woman has been beaten or something? And that's problematic, isn't it? Because then you view women's rights or human rights as a problem.
Only when there's a problem.
Only when there's a problem, not as something you should grow up reading and knowing. And also human rights as men's rights. For example, because we grew up knowing women's rights have been abused, we forget that human rights means understanding men's rights as well. You see? So the problem of re-education has to be asserted, of course, so that girls and boys grow up understanding human rights, not when there's a challenge and then, oh, there's so much news and it's getting a lot of media coverage. So let us grow up in the knowledge of it.
And I think that it's my responsibility as a parent to give this information to my children because I don't know what they might be being told outside there. Yes, but many times like I shared earlier, when you see the document of the bill, it's this huge,
and you're like, what
the language. Have you heard those lawyers, the way they talk? It is in a discourse of, you're like, I'm
what
sorry.
are you talking about?
Exactly. in
79.82.
you're like, article. You're like, what's articles? I didn't want to do law. Now I'm here having to engage and to deal with it. But I think that it's extremely important that we take the time to give ourselves that knowledge, because you can't cry foul for long. After some time, it's now your responsibility.
Because knowledge,
you can now read.
It's not defense.
Excuse.
No. Yes, it's not defense.
Yeah. So but you can now read.
Yeah.
You can now write.
Yeah.
You now have lawyer friends.
Right.
You have access to information. You even have. There was a time when I was doing that bill, I didn't want to. I wasn't able to read the whole thing. So what I did is, checked Google, and then I said, tell me the land bill like I'm a fool. You've done maths for fools.
Yeah.
Oh, the explanation.
Why did you look at me like that?
I'm sorry, I didn't read it like that. Well, I mean, I've done math for fools.
Okay.
Math for fools where they simplify it as they want to explain it to you in the simplest format ever. So that you can never be there in a conversation and you have no contribution to it.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think that it is now our responsibility to do that.
It is our responsibility, but also we have majority of women, for example, in Uganda, would love to do that, but they themselves don't have that information. They are not able to access digital technologies. They are there digging. They don't know. But remember that we have a society that they are growing in, and they are bringing their children in, they are marrying in. There is a certain society that they are in. And like I mentioned, ours is a patriarchal society. Yes. And in this patriarchal society, property, especially that major property like land, housing, and so forth, is mainly passed on through the male lineage. Yeah. So remember, this is something we are growing up seeing and knowing, and society has made us believe it is the right way to do things. Probably it was at some time, but not today.
I think it's right, but it's not the only way. It's not the only right way. Like land can be, like I think it's okay and it's right to channel land through your son, but it's also right to channel land through your daughter. That's what I mean. So, because we also don't want to be in a place where only women are now getting land. Yes. Now we are having this struggle.
It's reverse.
It's now in the reverse.
But we know that what is actually happening, our cultures, our customs, is that land is passed on through
only
one
the
side.
boy.
Yes. Or whether if they have 4 girls, they would rather bring an uncle, a cousin who is a brother, and pass that land through, but not the girls, which is wrong in itself.
Because I have 4 girls, they will all receive land.
Exactly. Yeah. But you know how many women... I
understand what you mean.
Yes, there are so many women who actually love these 4 girls, but society has taught them that the right way to do things is that these girls don't have the capacity or the capability to manage this land. And they are going to get married at some point. And they will go away, and then this land. So you will find that even the women themselves are looking for a brother, an in-law, whatever, so that land of their husband. So it's a societal thing. It's in our cultures, and has been normalized that is how land is governed and managed. Now, from that, we see that the issue that I talked about of human rights, women are not able to fully exercise their right, because remember we said the band of rights, they should be able to acquire, to use it, to make decisions and so forth. But if land is passed on through the male lineage, this passage or this process of passing on land to a man or to a boy comes with so many rights, because you are now the owner.
You have access
you have access right. It gives you the whole bundle. The inheritance, you just inherit the whole bundle. So you don't struggle, you have the right. You can access, you can use, you can make decisions, you can control as a man. And that is moving on from generation to generation. On the other hand, women have limited rights. We for forever enjoy one right, access. Because as a daughter in the home, you access because daddy is father's land. He inherited it.
And no mention of your mother in this land.
No matter how, she came from somewhere else.
Oh my goodness.
So you're using, you're living there, but when that relationship with your father changes form, you're getting married or you're leaving, going to Kampala or whatever, then you lose that right, the only right you had, which was to use. You were not making decisions on that land. It was not yours. You did not own it, and so forth. Now you've decided, let me get married. You're getting to a man who already inherited. He's already enjoying his 3 rights.
So
for you, you have come. Now when you come as madam, you're going to also enjoy your access rights. So you will use, but should anything happen to that relationship,
then you have no land.
Then you don't have from nothing. You have lost even the one which you didn't have from your father. Even the little one you were enjoying here with your husband of access, you lose it because he's telling you, get away because there is a death. He has died. So the in-laws will say, now, madam, you were a visitor. You're viewed as someone who just came to give birth, to till the land, to look after the property. But it's not yours. It was for our brother. It is for our clan. So you lose the land. So because of those cultures, we have laws that have been put in place to try and put things back to normal, because we have human rights, and the human rights are very clear that all of us, regardless of our differences, we all have equal rights to land, to enjoy this whole spectrum of rights. But our society, our culture, and we know how strong our cultures are. There are people who say, I don't know, I'm not in Uganda, say this is what our culture is. Yes. But we forget that in the process of practicing our culture, we are violating rights of the girl. She's not able to enjoy the full
of our own daughters,
of your own daughters, yes. Of our own wives, of
our own wives. Things can change, but this is your daughter.
But even daughter, things can change. She gets married and she remains your daughter.
She's your daughter. But she's your daughter. Yes, she's still your daughter.
Like, how can you say that about your wife and she shouldn't get land, but you forget that also your daughter?
But this is also your wife. By the time you cornered me and you brought me and you loved me and I'm cooking
until now, the bad thing is they can ban. He can decide he's going to ban you, and therefore the relationship has changed. But this is your daughter. This is your blood.
Exactly.
What you're doing to your wife, someone will do to your daughter.
Yes. So now this bill comes to correct some of those issues.
Hopefully
correct some of these issues.
It's a great step.
Yes, because we are saying, the fact is that our cultures are good, our customs are good, it's our way of life, we have normalized things. But if we interrogate our cultures deeper, there is a section that is being violated in terms of their ability to fully enjoy the bundle of rights.
Okay.
So the law comes and tries to organize things and say, in case my husband dies, is there something that protects me? How do I continue to enjoy the bundle of rights, even if he has died, so that it protects me from my in-laws who are going to come and say, madam, your business here ended. You came to probably have sex, have children, make our man happy, you have gone.
He has gone, so what, you have
you have no business here. And then they disinherit you, they start grabbing your land, they chase you away with your children, especially the girl children. So the law comes in to try and rectify some of those things, because it is our cultures that are actually leading to this violation. And that's why I said from the beginning, sometimes I don't even want to blame men. It's a system, it's in their mind. They are doing things the way society has told them this is how things run. Right. So when you go against it, or when a woman tries to say no, then they react.
Right.
They react and they ban us, they kill us, because you're disorganizing order. But we need to understand that probably that cultural process was useful at some time when things were different.
Right.
Yeah, and women could live, and when there was probably death, there's a way in which cultures would accommodate the children.
Yes.
But now things have changed.
Cultures evolved.
Cultures evolved. Yes. Economy has evolved. It's now there's too much pressure. Kids have to go to school. Everything you need money. You need and the land is still the same.
Yes.
As you said, some of it even could have reducing. Land is it's not increasing. It's either reducing or it's the same. So we really need to put order now, because cultures have changed, society has changed. We need to make sure that men and women, regardless of our differences, we still can be able to enjoy the bundle of rights. So that bill comes in to say, okay, in case a husband dies and he has not left a will, what happens? What can we do as government in terms of our laws to ensure that this woman and the children continue to derive their sustenance from this land? How do we get shares? How do we distribute the property? How, in case the woman chooses to divorce or separate, what happens? Because if we are to follow our cultures, they will say, you have gone, you're tired, the visitor is tired. You're divorcing, you're separating, go. But everything remains. But remember, you have invested so much.
You invested so much. That access time, you invested
that time you were using that land, you made it productive.
Yes.
You contributed to the land. You were feeding the workers. You were sweeping. You were feeding this. You have done a lot. May not be monetary. There is too much you have done to make this land more productive. So now that I am not interested in Mr. anymore, because probably he's abusive, probably, you know, sometimes you just differences, exactly. And then they say, okay, thank you for visiting us, go, forgetting all the contributions you made. Yeah. So that is what now this tries to rectify and say, okay, a woman will not walk away empty-handed.
Okay, good. And then you can verify how long she has been there,
yes, what contribution she has made,
such a contribution.
And so forth. And the children, how do we make sure that even when land is being distributed, it's not only going to boys?
Yes.
So this law tries to tell us that in case such a scenario happens and land has to be, you know, divided between children, how do we protect, how do the girls go to, where do they go to say, look here, we are also children in this home and we have a right. We are human beings. Just because we are girls doesn't mean we should not get a share. So in case the man was not smart enough to provide to the girls because of the culture, the law comes in to ensure that there is fairness.
Some order.
Yes. So I cannot say that the bill is 100%.
No.
It's not, it has issues, it still has gaps, but it's better.
But it has improved the situation.
At least there is something,
Yeah, because now they're saying sell the land and share the money
and share the money equally.
Why
You know, the certain percentage should go to women, this is a percentage to children. Well there is something there that is at least good where women can start from to assert their rights. Yeah. Now, the issue of knowledge. We have these things written. How many women know?
No, we don't.
Women don't know that in case of, they don't know that there is somewhere you can go and get help when such things happen. You even find women themselves are the ones who are sitting in these meetings saying, no, the girls should not get anything. Or no, because culture, this is what we've grown. Imagine you have been taught something for so many years. You don't know what is written somewhere in the law. So we have that gap. We have a gap between the beautiful laws, the Succession Act, the Land Act. We have good laws that ensure that women and girls are able to enjoy the full bundle of rights. But what is on reality on ground is very different. Yeah. Because of these cultures.
And usually what I find is that many times as women, we start to look for what our rights are, what the law says when it's already too late.
Thank you.
As opposed to the law has come out.
The issue, the problem is in your
face.
face.
In case anything happens, what mechanisms can I use to protect my rights?
So if we just got these laws, you know, we like sitting and meeting with each other. What if we met with each other and said, you know what, I have a lawyer friend. Let her tell us. We're going to have dinner
and let
as girls. But for this dinner date, let's have a lawyer to come and unpack this land act so that she tells us, hey, okay, so what happens? Okay, so not so that you can go and be
a problem,
but so that you can be
knowledgeable.
But I also feel, like you had said earlier, sometimes you can't blame men because even them, they don't know. Even them, they don't know. I don't know how many of them learned what do they call it? That the act came out.
Succession Act.
The Succession Act came up, and they've never read it.
Yeah.
They don't know. All they've said in the bar with each other is, hey, women have come for us. Women have come for us. They don't really know what's going on inside there. True. And there's a need for them to go in and read. So that at the point of purchase of property, at the point of inheritance of property, I mean, there are people who have, let me tell you, it's also, I think it addresses also, man and woman are married, and then the man's parent dies, and then there is land that has been, he has inherited land, because most times if somebody passes away, they don't give the family, they still give the son. So what happens to the woman?
Exactly.
You understand what I mean? Most people are just thinking in their minds, she can't claim the land. Have you read what is in the law?
Exactly.
So that by the time you now come to marry this woman, you know what she's coming with, because she's no longer coming empty-handed. She's not going to leave empty-handed. Those days you'd say, don't put a ring on it, don't marry her, because when we enter court, now there is a provision for how long you have been in the relationship, what percentage is given to you. Even if you say to yourself, women, let them not work. Now they come in your home and they work. Don't allow them to work, because then they'll start contributing, then they start fighting for land. Men, gentlemen, the act provides for women who don't work. So that explanation that you used to have is, those days,
what does she bring to the
what
table?
Does she bring to the
brings
table?
a lot to the table.
Now it's no longer there.
Yeah.
Whether it's a piece, whether it's the varnishes brought to the table, that varnish made the table. It counts to what the table became. So we do need to go, both men and women. And it would be nice if husbands and wives said, oh, did you hear the Succession Act is out? Can we talk for the date today? So not always only enjoyment, but there's always also learning and building our minds, because we also have to fight for our children's rights when the time comes. So
I think also the biggest gap we have is the issue that our laws look only at married women. And the majority of women in Uganda, almost 80%, are not legally married. And yet the law is very clear on what marriage is. So I think the biggest challenge that women are still facing today is that majority of women are not legally married. They are cohabiting, but in their mind, they've
got children together, they've got children together,
they've life now, when they even go to court, apart from if it's, you know, they look at some of the cases of contribution, what contribution has this woman, it has to be that kind of judge or that who is very, but someone will say, is there a proof of marriage? But remember, majority of our women are not married. And marriage is a choice. Why do I have to be married for my rights, for me to be able to enjoy my rights on land and property? So I think that is a gap that we have.
I think the issue there is you want to enjoy the rights of a married woman. That's, for me, that's why I see the issue is. You can't have remained single. And so that you can buy your own land, you can control it, you can have access to it. But immediately you go and stay in someone's home, in a certain man's home, without the legal requirement for it to show why you're together. And then let's say you don't work, or you're not contributing, or your contribution is very limited, or even if it is big, by virtue of the fact that there is no agreement between the two of you, a marital agreement between the two of you, your hope is to enjoy the rights of a married woman.
Yet you're not married.
And I think that it's time for us to have for me, I'm all for, let's have those big important discussions. If you want to enjoy the rights of a married woman, get married. If you don't want, I'm telling you, because you find that you have so much pulling. Of course, but you imagine you're a woman, you've decided I'm not going to get married, but I want children. So you go and whatever. But the child comes, you're still a single woman who has your own land, has your own property, when that man passes away or decides to, I don't know, whatever, you're not claiming his land.
It becomes very difficult for you.
You're not going through that hassle. You're only claiming land for his child, because that one there is a blood connection,
and that one is
protected and it is respected by law. So when you're fighting for something that you know when you go before the law, you're not going to struggle. It was the other
man that had all the rights inherited and everything.
So what rights does a woman have in that case?
I think the issue that I talked about, that I really don't, I feel for me the gap that is on land, I don't want to tie women down to marriage, because marriage should be a choice. Marriage should be something that women enter into and get out into at will based on the circumstances. But I feel that whether married or not married, you are a human being, regardless of that difference. You should enjoy the whole bundle of rights. Now, when you're with your friend, because at this point, even if you've had children, you're having children with your friend, your buddy. So when you're with this friend of yours and you're having children, you're doing all the marital duties, you're whatever, but you're not legally married, you must be smart enough to say, okay, I'm still, what do I do to ensure that I will enjoy the bundle of rights? Registration and documentation. Make sure that when you're buying, either jointly or yours,
there must
be something that proves that you have that you have.
Because as a married woman, I might not have to have my name signed on the
you're protected.
Act, but because I have
you're protected by
legal, I am protected, and that's why I'm saying that you can't enter a non-marital relationship hoping to enjoy the rights of a married woman. You can't go and say, I'm going to be with this man, he's not going to marry me, but when the land comes, it definitely
the land that inherited,
that he inherited. It is going to go to the married woman, because while it's a human right, it now becomes a married woman's human right that the land that her husband owned became hers. Now for you, instead of wanting to enjoy that right,
do your thing.
Protect yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So understand the rights that protect you.
Yes, understand the rights that protect
and you. And you can even talk to the man very well, your friend.
But
he can add you on the title. He can add you there. He can write a will and put you there.
Yes.
But don't just sit back and enjoy and assume that everything is okay.
Or tell him that, you know, me and you are not married.
Yes.
And so all this land you're buying, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But for me, I am going to buy my own land. I'm not going to contribute because God forbid you pass away today.
Yes.
That land is
What
not
then?
rightfully mine. I have to fight for it. Now, we need
sign here first.
Sign here.
Sign.
To show, because I don't want you to deceive me with the rights of a married woman, yet me myself, I'm not
I actually don't have
married.
legal access.
So that you don't hide your, you know how they say, Uganda build your, no, build the rentals out nga he can hear.
See,
so that also him says, I also want to go, let me go and marry this woman because
that I can also.
I think also the challenge is when women and men are entering marriage, this is what they tell them. Have children. Women, raise your children like this. When you're having sex, the whole sessions on how to enjoy sex, none on legal rights. There are sessions on how to cook. Your bridal shower will all be kitchen equipment, the theme, kitchen, or bedroom, or children, or
none of them.
No theme on
property,
legal rights, property. And that's a challenge because already for you, marriage is only about how to please the man. Because the moment you say, how do I know my rights, you're considered aggressive. You see? Yet it should all be part of the package. Human. So much emphasis, and it's good. How to please the man in bed, how to cook, all that is wonderful. It's not all there is to it. And that's the challenge. And therefore, the only time we even want to have knowledge on the law is when there is a problem. Why? Let it be part of everything, the entire package, human rights, so that it's not a fight. Because every time we talk about women's rights, it's a fight. It doesn't have to be a fight. And so that when you're teaching your children, it's also, you're not telling them, get married for this. Let them understand that they're not, girls aren't raised to be married to please a man. Girls are raised to be productive, people of value in the world, and marriage may be part of their journey. So,
but I think this knowledge is also very important for this knowledge to be accessed by also men.
Yes, you were saying that. Discuss it in the bar.
Because if we think that women need this, it's important, it's critical, you know, for women to have this information and knowledge and assert their rights and so forth. But then we are causing another problem in the sense that we are living a certain boys and men don't know what is going. Women are like Rebecca's case she's a woman who probably knew her right and was trying to assert, and what happened? Violence. So I think engaging men is very critical.
From when they're boys, not even when they're
from
men.
From when they are boys,
because it's human rights.
And
it's human rights.
And I think for men and boys, it's mainly the mindset. To be honest, I work in that sector, and I've worked with men and boys. And by the first time you have a conversation with them, they are saying, Banaga, women, they are going to steal our land. Women, no, you have
become something else.
But once men start to appreciate the value that comes from their daughters and their wives owning land, either jointly or individually with them or so forth,
I like that.
You see them changing. It's amazing to see how men change. They bring their documents. They bring those things and we are overwhelmed. So you realize that most of them, it's a mindset. Because they are in this society, they're not accessing this information. They think this is the right way to do things. Then when you have these conversations, you have these bold conversations with men, and you start telling them, by the way, they call them omsiri, whatever. She will dig more. She will protect this land. When you die, your in-laws will not take up, because you know these men love their children. They don't love us, but they love their children. So the man will. They love us, but they.
That's what I was saying.
If you want to have a conversation with them to change a man's mindset, talk about his children. And tell him, you know, this, in case you die. These days you see men are dying earlier than you. When you die, people are going to take this land away from this
children.
This woman. Your children are going to lose out. Once they start thinking, you know, they look like small, simple things, but men, there's a way in which they need to be told even those small things, and then you see them starting to realize, actually, it is important. It takes nothing away from me. To add to co-own this land with my girl children, or to bequeath land to girls. You know, it helps the woman. She becomes more, you know, there is something that happens when you know that my name is on that title, as a person, as a woman. You get that esteem, you get that, you know, you get confidence. So you invest more in the production of that. But when you know that anyone can come and take this land away from me, why do you put your energy tilling and toiling on something? You invest somewhere else. That's why you see women will get their money and they hide and so forth. But when she has that trust, yes, and it's terrible. It's very stressful to hide.
Actually, Brian told me, Manuela, you can do anything in this marriage.
But don't hide.
Anything.
But don't hide your land.
Hiding.
But it's stressful even for you as a woman.
Because then you have to
with that.
Yes, but even you have to keep on following up. Where have you done? It's anxiety, unnecessary anxiety.
And some women, because they don't want to put their names and kukuta, they've put only their sons. You see, also them, the line they will put either their brother or their son, because they will never put their daughter. They will never put the very many women, because they also still have that thing. Yes, let me put my brother. Let me put my
no, because women also blame. They also lash out at women saying they're aggressive. It's not only men. Women also perpetuate the patriarchy, unfortunately.
We perpetuate the patriarchy. But because the systems have taught us that it's men who can manage this land, not you. So you'd rather entrust your brother, entrust your son, and not even yourself.
It's terrible,
But when men see that actually when I put a woman on this title, when this woman knows we are co-owners, she invests more. She will invest more. And usually when women are economically empowered from this land, they are producing more, they have food at home, they are selling surplus, they have some money. Notice, it's just something about us women. We reinvest that money back in the home.
So let me
when
just
you
ask
have
my
a
husband
woman
to give me 15 acres, I tell him, trust me.
You will reinvest.
Manuela, you'll see
Do you know the things
next
that
No, you're something else already. I already fear. Even just a thought.
Even without the 15 acres. Now wait for the 15
now the 15 acres.
Now the things we think about.
Jokes aside, I'm
like
really
education.
grateful.
The first thing we think about, mwana wanga ino kusoma msomere dunji. Kamuje wano mutwale wali. When you get some money, all you think about is better education for my children, better health for my children, better house, better cleaner energy. It is how we are wired. We love...
Especially when you know that you're doing this together.
But when you know someone is going to take away. But now when you know that you're a co-owner, there is something that proves that you're a co-owner. You're making decisions together. You get the confidence to do all that stuff. But don't blame me if I'm seeing all the titles are written on James Odong.
And you are witness.
Not even witness. Sometimes they get their own brothers to witness. You're nowhere, but he's there, he's having sex, he's eating good food, he's doing all that stuff. Of course, I will not invest in the productivity of this land. Of course. If I see that all the documents that we have on the land that we are living on, that we are, you know, surviving on as a family, if I see my name there, James Odong and Frances Birungi, there's something it does to me, my attitude, my mindset. I will want to invest in that. You know, I would want to look after this because I know I have a stake. No one will ever take this away from me. My name is there, you know. This man has trusted me this much. Now, when men start seeing the value, they change. Mindset changes. But it takes time. It's not something that we are going to go today, talk to men. Now,
15 acres.
I want you to change.
No.
Your 15 acres.
This man has been taught for 20 years. He's a 25-year-old man. They've been telling him, and
that's what he saw in his home.
And then you come and you say, Munange, no, when women, no, they need time to rethink, to unlearn, to relearn, and then appreciate that actually we all benefit from this.
Right.
The woman benefits as a person, I benefit as a man, our family benefits, then things change. We can't do this alone. So I think it's a whole mindset shift to kind of change and transform those practices, those norms that we know are harmful. They're actually harming us as individuals, as families. They're harming us. If you don't bequeath land to girls, you're harming the girls, you're harming yourself, you're harming your family. If you don't co-own land with your wife, those are some of the negative things that are happening. If you don't change from not co-owning and you start co-owning, then you're harming. So we need to transform these existing norms and practices to those that are more equitable and can support families to grow together.
Right.
And culture is not bad. We are not saying our cultures are bad. We are saying there are aspects in the culture
that can be evolved,
that are harmful, that can be changed, that can be transformed,
with the
so that
evolving world,
so that we can all benefit.
Yeah, and I just want to say this one. I know you need to end this show, but I think that one of the things that God has blessed women with is wisdom. And in this whole mindset change, when you kept saying this won't take 5 years, this won't take 10 years, there's a lot of mindset change and there's a lot of work to be done. I think for me, my biggest prayer for women is for God to give you wisdom on how to handle your husband.
Excellent.
You can't go to how Bev does her husband and you think that that's what you're going to do. And this one shouted and this one, may God give you wisdom, because where this conversation came from was a land dispute that caused someone to end her life before time. I pray that God gives us wisdom that we might escape death, such deaths. The woman is being, and violence, that we might be able to escape. May God give us wisdom. Yes, the man is not perfect. He's not all these things. But many of you in the comment section are going to say, but Manuela, me, I love the man. I really love him, but he's these things. May God give you wisdom on how to circumvent these different areas of your marriage, so that things like you don't lose your life, you don't lose your body parts, you don't lose your self-esteem, you don't lose yourself because of something that you should have as a human being.
This has been a breath of fresh air. I've been revolutionized. My mindset has shifted slightly. It takes long, but in terms of understanding, I need to access the knowledge. Because I thought knowledge is enough for lawyers. The lawyers will then translate for me. But the moment I make accessibility part of my daily reading or regular reading, then the journey of understanding human rights becomes easier. The more knowledge I have, the better I become as a person, not just for myself, for introducing the men in my life into this conversation. Because when women assert their rights, they're not being aggressive. It's part of the human rights conversation. Let my husband be part of the conversation, my brother, the men in my spaces, and also the children. I teach lots of young boys and girls together while I train in other aspects of their life. Having this topic come up once in a while with an adult who's an expert to start in their understanding is important. And I'm so glad that we can change the narrative that women's rights experts are aggressive to women's rights experts are just part of the human rights space, and that men join us. I must say, women and land rights, I had no idea. Land and property rights, there's so much I didn't know. Frances, thank you.
Thank you.
She's a human rights expert. You've heard for yourself. Let us know in the comment section. What do you think? What land do you own? What land do you have access to that you don't legally own? Now you know that there's a journey to that. The whole band of rights. I love that word. The whole band of rights. Where are you? Who are you? What do you have to share? Let us know in the comment section. This is Bump Love. What an energizing, revitalizing conversation. Thank you so much. Manuela, always you bring it hard. You really bring it hard. She told you to get access to the land bill for dummies. She will hold a webinar.
I should. Let me know.
Something.
Let me know in the comment section if I should. If we should have, like, even if it's a live. But I do know, and I think I need to say this. There's a lady on TikTok. She's a lawyer. I can't get her handle right now, unfortunately. I think her handle is something like Let's Talk the Law. She's really good at breaking down the laws of Uganda and explaining them. So I have a feeling, I've not checked her out in a while, but she's wonderful. TikTok, she breaks down all of this stuff. So,
something for APPG and even the continuation of life.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. You've really been brilliant. You've really opened up my mind. You've opened up the minds of the listeners. All bump lovers now will definitely be more knowledgeable, and their lives have already started on a better tangent, I think. Let us know in the comment section. I won't speak for you, but let us know, what are your thoughts? Where are you in this journey? Thank you so much for being with us. Enjoy the weekend. Do you see where we are? The backdrop, it's even drizzling. We are at the Colos. Colos is a beautiful wellness spa, so grand it opens up your pores to magic. We had a treat when we were here recently, and I must say it was so wonderful. Aromatherapy, all kinds of massage, steam and sauna. This is where we're at, and we have gift vouchers for you. The gift vouchers are for special women in your life. Why don't we give it to a woman who has learned more and applied this knowledge on land that she may own or access?
Yeah, yeah.
A voucher is waiting for you to access this beautiful space. Have a spa treatment, aromatherapy, steam and sauna. Colos is in Bugolobi and they are waiting to treat you. And we'll see you next week. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.